These are some toys that I sell at Comic-Cons. That is one called Instant Grave Dirt. There's a surprise in every can. It's a tooth. People actually pay me money for artisanal dirt, which is like a thing you can do in San Francisco. I feel like that's my troll in the general public, that I get people to give me money for dirt. This is something called the Emergency Sacrifice Kit. So it comes with custom-made strawberry flavored virgin blood. You can put it on a cake. There's some candles. So you can like pour that blood in a pentagram and make a sacrifice if you need like a parking space or like a reservation at foreign cinema. And if Satan's listening, like your candles might not go out. So they're like trick candles, and I had to put a disclaimer so nobody would like burn their house down. So people are kind of surprised when I want to talk about anything serious with them after they see this stuff. And then they're also kind of surprised when they find out that I've made like enterprise ad software. But people are pretty multifaceted. So since I'm going to tell you about some personal and embarrassing stuff today, I thought I would start with something really embarrassing. This is my first website. I made this over 20 years ago. This is a group assault fan page, which if you're old, they were a band that was popular in the 90s. I made this image map in like Hot Dog Studio Pro, which I pirated. The hi-fi version I think takes you to another image map. There's like a sea of them, but I couldn't find that one on the Wayback Machine. And then there's the lo-fi version, which is just text only. It belongs to many web rings, and I think there was even like a really obnoxious JavaScript alert, so if you were in a browser that I didn't like, it would tell you to upgrade to a modern one, which I don't even know what that meant in 1994. So this seems like really silly and like ridiculous now, but I don't think that we've like really come that far since this time, and I think that in 20 years we're probably going to look at what we're making right now and be like just as embarrassed of it. So I want to talk to you about some mistakes I made, which is like kind of uncomfortable, like mistakes that we've all probably made, but I'm here like the person will tell you that there's spinach in your teeth or that your flies down, so like we're in the cone of safety. So a lot of us probably read this book in the early 2000s, Designing Web Standards. Like we learned that designing websites with tables was really bad and like not accessible. Like building websites has come a really long way in the 10 years I've been doing this professionally. We've like fought the good fight. There aren't image maps anymore. Flash is like finally dying. I know. And then we learned how to use data to make decisions about our work. And this was really important because before that we didn't have like any way to quantify the value of the work that we were doing with the people that we work with. So there's a lot of make the logo bigger until this came along. But then we sort of forgot something really important, which are feelings. So this is a picture of my mom and me. She died suddenly when I was 25, and shortly after I was working at a greeting card company. And that first Mother's Day, all 10 of my test accounts in American Greetings were inundated with Mother's Day emails. And it felt pretty terrible. Like, I don't know if I've ever felt more alone. And like, nobody set out to hurt me. Mother's Day is pretty uncontroversial. Like, everybody likes their mom, right? But nobody tried not to hurt me either. And somewhere, like some marketer saw open rates going up and to the right, and this just seemed like, what could go wrong? So this is my inbox every Mother's Day now. It's like still completely full of stuff. This is a problem that's remained unsolved for almost a decade. And nobody even thinks about this. Like, I can't escape this unless I opt out of all marketing emails. But the problem isn't just holidays or emails. There's all kinds of scenarios that seem really benign that are actually pretty harmful. So one of my first jobs was I worked for an insurance company. And when you work in insurance, your customers really hate you. You have to buy they're like buying this government mandated product that is intangible, it's really expensive, and they only interact with it when something goes really wrong. And then they see these commercials like 100 times a day. Like, we had them on a loop in the office, and I didn't know if I wanted to like go on a date with her or kill her. So it was pretty rare when we could do something to like give some transparency to our customers. So we thought maybe if we showed them their credit scores, then they would understand why they got the rate that they did. So we tried this in our usability lab, like everything at the end of the month pencils down, we tested it, whatever it was, we thought it was a good process. And I watched this woman in our lab break down in tears when she was confronted with this number because it triggered a memory of a hospitalization that had bankrupted her family a few years before and sent them spiraling into financial ruin. So when you don't expect to see that number, it's pretty triggering. So we were really not helping her. So then a few years later, I worked in travel, and we try to upsell you. So you book a vacation, and we're like, hey, maybe you want some tickets to a water park or Disneyland. And then maybe a year later, we'll say, hey, do you want to go back to this place? Except a lot of people will travel for funerals, and this is really bad. They don't want to be reminded of that place they went to a year ago. So somewhere around this time, like, depression started to catch up with me, and like years of a desk job and adult responsibilities, and I gained a lot of weight, like over 100 pounds. And I started to realize that a lot of people live in a world that's not designed for them. We've probably all been this dog at some point in time, and like I was definitely one of them. And there's a lot of stuff most people take for granted, like being able to comfortably fly on a plane that suddenly becomes a problem. Things that are fun for just about everybody, like an amusement park becomes a source of like stress and terrible anxiety. And when you walk into a store and they don't make clothes that fit you, it feels pretty terrible. You start to feel like you're worthless as a person. And nobody set out to make you feel that way when they designed the store, but they didn't really think about you either. So this is the experience for a homeless person in California buying food stamps. Does anybody notice anything strange? Buying food stamps, getting food stamps. They ask you for a mailing address. Last month was my birthday, and I decided to book a trip. I was having a really hard time with the website, like the properties that were coming back weren't available on the dates I wanted to go, everything was really far away. I finally got something and then it canceled 2 days before my birthday because there were wildfires because we have this terrible drought. And I was trying to book a new property, and they wanted me to verify my identity, so I tried to upload my driver's license 2 different ways and it failed. And at this point, like, I'm pretty angry, like I'm yelling at people. Were like, why are you doing this to me? And then they asked me to verify my identity if I knew my dead mom. So I was pretty sure Airbnb was trying to ruin my birthday, or at least like punch me in the face or something at this point. And I wound up, my birthday was fine, but like I didn't feel very good. And like sometimes software starts to feel like a person, and I really need one. And I'm sure that that was not anybody's intent. This is like the same database I think that pulls information when you're trying to apply for a credit card. Like, what could go wrong? It seems pretty benign. So there's a lot of places where unintentional design can have like bad to disastrous consequences. I'm assuming this is LA. So this is something called the Pedestrian Danger Index, and it's the likelihood that you will be hit by a car on one of these city streets. And a high number is really bad. Like the nationwide average is I think 50. So the thing all of these places have in common is that their streets were optimized for speed. And when you prioritize something like speed, you're inherently deprioritizing everything else. In this case, pedestrians and safety. And we're not always honest with ourselves about the risk that our work presents, and we don't think about what's the worst case scenario. So what happens when someone can't use a ballot? 8 years. What happens when healthcare professionals can't understand your medical history? So this is the cockpit of a Legacy 600. In 2006, this killed 154 people when it collided with a Boeing 737 because the pilots couldn't see some critical warning signs that were hidden somewhere in the instrument panel out of view. Bad design can like actually kill people. So even when our intentions are good, something can go really wrong. Every year after my mom died, my stepdad would get me Bath and Body Works gift cards for Christmas and my birthday, because he thought, oh, well, your mom liked this, you would too, but I hate Bath and Body Works. It smells like middle school to me, and every time I got one of these, I felt like he just didn't know me, and like I felt further away from him, even though his intentions were really good. So sometimes you think you're giving somebody a gift, and at the end of 2014, Facebook thought we'd give everybody this present called Year in Review, and we take your post with the most engagement and offer to make a collage out of it and say, hey, what a great year. Except a lot of people didn't have a great year. And we gave everybody Bath and Body Works gift cards. Sometimes you design things you think are going to keep people safe. And we have a real name policy at Facebook, well, authentic name, which basically means we want you to be the person on Facebook you say you are to your friends in your day-to-day life. And it seems pretty simple, but we allow people to report you if they think that that's not who you are. And your identity might not be so easy to verify. Like, your authentic identity might not appear on a driver's license or a passport. So this was something that we designed to protect people from bullying and actually wound up being used to bully people. And I'm working on this and it's going to get a lot better. So, what do all designers have in common? Just shout out some guesses. Anybody?
They solve problems.
Yes, but no. Thank you. Privilege. So we all do something we love every day. And we come to talks like this one where people tell us to follow our dreams and the money will come after and it'll be really great. But most people don't get to do what they want. Most people are just trying to get by. And we don't stop being human when we go online. They're just trying to get through their day, their car's in the shop, they've got to pick up their kid and go to the pharmacy, and before they can do any of that, they have to like use our thing that isn't working the way they expect. And like the bad news is there isn't really an easy checklist to solve this, or we'd all be doing it already. So I'm going to tell you what I'm trying, because only you know your customers, I can't really tell you what to do for them. So first, I don't conflate empathy and sympathy. I see that all the time. Empathy is like the buzzword du jour right now, right? Like that's why we're all here today. People talk a lot about empathy when they mean sympathy. And sympathy is like when something bad happens to you and I feel concerned for your well-being. Like I care about you and that's still a good thing. But empathy is when we feel the same thing as someone else. And it's really dangerous to assume that you understand what somebody else feels. Like it's pretty hard to actually do that. And we can't empathize with people when we don't know what their problems are. So I'm trying to work with people who aren't like me. Everybody knows tech has a huge diversity problem, and without diversity in design, we're not going to solve very diverse problems. I went to the White House last month as a tech fellow and talked about diversity and inclusion and how we can improve hiring, but also like leadership practices that has to come from the top down. And when I'm making something new, I try to think about 10 different people I know and what their life circumstances are. And they're all pretty different. And like, how would my thing work for them? What have they all been through? I ask myself, how would whatever this thing is work for someone experiencing something terrible? And then I do this other really weird thing, which I like highly encourage all of you to do, which is sometimes I'll go to a random bus stop, and I'll get on the first one that comes, and I just ride it until the end of the line. And I try and watch and listen to people without being a creep, which like isn't too hard on me because nobody's really paying attention to you. They're like trying not to get something splashed on them. So usually there's something like there's like a mom who's trying to wrangle her kid, and she's got a bag of groceries, and she's trying to make a doctor's appointment on the phone, and there's like somebody who's late to work. And then you've got like somebody asking directions in another language, and like what would happen if they tried to use my product? Like we don't have people's infinite attention. Like their lives are going on in the background while we're trying to get them to use our stuff. So I try to open myself up to humanity as much as I can. Learning from failure is a pretty important part of my process. It's not like the most important part. So I'm going to tell you about the biggest mistake that I ever made in my career. The second biggest mistake was I asked a vegan in a job interview where to get a big steak, so I didn't get that job. A few years ago, I started working at a social media analytics company. It was for people to power social features in their application and measure how they were doing. So if it was like a ride-sharing service and I gave you like a $5 credit, and you gave your friend a $5 credit, and they gave their friend a credit, you'd be able to measure like how much money was made off of all of these people and where did that come from, which is pretty cool. So our CEO had a really specific idea about what he thought people wanted. Like people's businesses could be anything, so we needed to build them this like infinitely customizable dashboard, right? Because like we don't know their business, they do. So you go into this thing and you pick what kind of visualization you wanted and answer a bunch of questions about your data, and eventually you get something kind of like this. So we made it skeuomorphic because we thought then it would look like software and people would trust it. Except they didn't want this at all. It was really terrible. They hated it. And part of it was they said like it looked like Windows, but most importantly they would come into this app and it didn't do anything until they answered a lot of questions and did a lot of work. I'm like, that was pretty terrible. They were like, I don't know what this is. Like, you tell me what's valuable. That's why I'm paying you. And I wasted a year, which in like startup time is like a lot of money, just because I followed somebody else's instructions. And this was a redesign. I threw everything away and I started over because I realized like nobody is gonna let me do my job. It's up to me to make the time and space to figure out what problems I should be solving, and if I'm solving them well. And people love this because when you signed in the first time, you just authenticated with Facebook and Twitter, and it would automatically slurp your data and tell you what was working and how to do more of it. They just wanted insights. They didn't want to build software. They wanted to open the thing and move on with their day. Like, we sort of assumed that they would want to spend a lot of time with this, but they don't. And if I had trusted myself to know what was right and trusted in my process, my company might be around today. Like, only you know your users, only you know what's right for them, and even sometimes other people might. So I also try to take responsibility for my mistakes. It's really the only way to learn and move forward, and so I say I'm sorry when I fuck up, which is a lot. People appreciate the humility. And so after year in review suggested my friend Eric Meyer might have had a great year with a post about his daughter dying, I invited him to come speak at Facebook. I think people really internalized his message, and he was really glad to be able to talk to us about this. But then I made a poster with a quote from his talk, and I plastered this all over our campuses everywhere so that we would never forget what we did to him. And this is a picture of standing on the edge of Half Dome. A couple years ago, I started hiking to try and take control back of my body. And nature also was not designed for most people. Like, I could not 2 years ago have like mouth breathed my way up this thing. So one of the things that I like so much about being in nature is like everything is really big and you're really small. Like, it reminds you of your own significance and like this has been here for a bazillion years and will continue to be here for a bazillion years after I exist, and everything I make is like decayed and way back machine doesn't exist anymore. So it reminds me of how small I am and that I'm designing for a really big world.